It's mid-cap radar time. Mangalam and I are coming to you from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. And Mangalam, it's not a significant difference from where we left off half an hour ago. The Nifty still holding on to that 22,050 mark, but the broader markets are the ones that are in focus this afternoon.
That's the only fly in the ointment, that the recovery that we saw in the mid-cap end of things is now seeing a bit of profit booking, and the lines that we were talking about, yes, the green line is still above the red line, but they've only come a little closer. The Nifty bank's still holding up in the green. What we'll do is take note of all the top stories that we're tracking this afternoon and then get cracking on a lot of these individual names that we're talking about. The markets, which trade in a range but under pressure, mid-caps also give up gains, while banks are the only bright spot. IT, auto and real estate stocks drag.
Quick commerce stocks, Swiggy and Zomato are trading with gains after ICICI Securities reiterated their buy recommendation on them. The brokerages say that the valuations are now compelling for investors with a 1 year and higher time horizon.
Varun Beverages climbs over 3% after CLSA upgrades the stock to a high conviction outperform, citing the company's risk reward being very compelling despite assuming competition impact.
EMS companies like Keynes Technologies and Sirma SGS are in focus at the back of an Investec upgrade. The brokerage said that valuations are now looking reasonable after the correction, and they are convinced about the growth opportunity, albeit with some concerns.
Gensol hits lower circuit after Care Ratings downgrades the stock default from Care BB Plus with a stable outlook, citing ongoing delays in the servicing of term loan obligation as per feedback from its lenders as the reason for this downgrade.
And it is Gensol Engineering that is been the stock of the last few minutes, a 20% lower circuit after that downgrade, and some interesting names that come up as its lenders as well, the ones that have exposure to it, be it IREDA, Power Finance Corporation, Bandhan Bank, with smaller amounts of course, but IREDA and Power Finance Corporation are the big names that have exposure to Gensol Engineering. IREDA too has come off the highs of the day, but Power Finance Corporation still about there, around about 0.25% lower. But there are plenty of movers in the broader markets other than Gensol Engineering. Which are those? Vamakshi is here to take us through those. Vamakshi, good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, Hormaz. It's a tug of war between the bulls and the bears as far as the mid-cap index is concerned today. It started off at the day's lowest point. It has since recovered and still holding on to that level. But let's first look at some of the top gainers. Vijaya Diagnostics is one such name. That stock is up nearly 10%. Concord Biotech also trading close to the day's highest point, up nearly 9%. India Cements is another counter. It is seeing the biggest intraday advance since June of last year. Deepak Fertilizers as well. That stock is flying away in trade, up nearly 5.5%. Defense as a theme itself is a buzz today. We have several names flying high. Bharat Dynamics is one such counter, up nearly 5%. Look at Mishra Dhatu Nigam, DCX Systems, as well as Cochin Shipyard. All of these counters are trading anywhere about 2%. Industrial counters, on the other hand, are also some names that are a buzz in trade today. Jyoti CNC is up nearly 11%. Earlier during the day, the stock was up as much as 15%, which is the biggest intraday advance since Feb of last year. GE Vernova, TNT, Schneider Electric, as well as Hitachi Energy as some other counters that are flying away in trade today. On the flip side, let's also look at some of the counters that are declining in trade today. Astral is down nearly 4%. Supreme Industries, Paytm, as well as Welspun Living are some other counters that are down over 4%. Lastly, let's take a look at stocks that are moving on the back of very strong volumes. Alok Industries is one such counter, up nearly 6.5%. So is AstraZeneca. We also have Alembic Pharma as well as Acom Drugs. Both of these counters are anywhere up between 5 to 6%.
Take that point, Vamashi. Thank you so much for that. In fact, if you add some other names to that as well, Ramakrishna Forgings, for instance, is up around 6% as we speak. Jana SFB too has moved to the high point of trade. And we are seeing some traction in names like HOEC, which has recovered about 3% from the lows. Good time to welcome Shrikant Chauhan from Kotak Securities for a quick technical check on the market. Shrikant, seems like by now the consensus is that we're closer to the bottom than, what we had earlier feared. Between 21,800 to 22,000 is where the market is likely to take some support. Would you concur with that view? Are the charts suggesting that as well? And if yes, then would it make sense for one to try a long position or maybe wait for a reversal and buy higher only on confirmation?
Good afternoon, Mangalam and Hormaz. Well, for Nifty, yes, we are very close to the important support levels. Although today's recovery is not that encouraging, because if we see the advanced decline ratio, then it is not that encouraging. Even if we consider the mid-cap stocks, then they are finding some selling pressure at higher levels. But broadly, I am of the view that we are very close to these levels, where the market is having excellent support in terms of extensions, in terms of averages. So close to these levels, we need to see some like a very sharp recovery after hitting the lows, and today that is missing. So in case we may see some such type of activity in next few days, then there will be an opportunity for short-term traders to create some position. But if there is a medium-term view, if there is a positional view of at least next few days, then certainly we should look for taking some contra bets at current levels, little bit more on dips on index, with a stop loss at 21,700. Again, the market can rebound to the levels of 22,300 and maybe 2,800 sort of levels. Also, if we consider Mangalam, the trend of last 15-20 days, then the market has fallen nearly 2,000 points from its high, and the pullback is completely missing. So whenever in the past we saw sell off of around 2,000 points, we saw recovery of at least 800, 900 points. So this time also I am of the view that in case if we see the market is, let's say, dropping 100, 150 points more, then there we should look for taking some contra bets.
So what are those contra bets, Shrikant, when it comes to specific stocks? Because most of them too have seen a very steep correction from the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And almost like whenever there is such type of activity in the market where there is like, I'm going to say the broader market is under pressure, we need to focus on those companies where there is specific news flow. And in that, we like NBFCs, Sundaram Finance, which is currently trading around some 4,600 levels. There, if we see the technical pattern, then it is consolidating within the range of 5,000 and 4,000 on the downside. On the dismissal of 5,000, I'm expecting stock to move towards at least 5,500. And at this level also, it is a very, I can say, confident buy, because it is reversing after hitting the lower levels. So it's a buy at current levels with a target of 5,500. And the other stock which we like is SBI Cards. And if we see the technical pattern of last, let's say, a few months, at least 12 to 14 months, then you can see that the stock is forming some rounding bottom sort of formation. And now it is forming some continuation formation on daily and short-term charts. So at this level, it's a quite attractive buy around 825, 830 with a target of 900, 950. And eventually, we may even see the levels of 1100. So that's the view on SBI Card.
Interesting. Shrikant, thank you so much for sparing time and joining us today this afternoon with your views on the index and on specific stocks as well. We take a short break, but before we do that, here's some good news for our viewers. India's business news leader is now just a click away. Introducing CNBC-TV18's all-new app, where you get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles and financial world updates right at your fingertips. So you can download the app right away from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, or just scan the QR code that just comes up on your screen. Take a short break. Back with the management of Sudarshan Chemicals on the other side. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Let's get chatting with the management of Sudarshan Chemicals, which has informed the exchanges that they've successfully completed the acquisition of Germany-based Huback Group through its wholly owned subsidiary, Sudarshan Europe BV. This acquisition will enhance their product portfolio, give access to diversified asset footprint across 19 international sites. What does this mean in terms of a turnaround and addition opportunity for them in terms of revenue and operating performance? We have with us Rajesh Rathi, who is the managing director of the company. Thanks a lot, Mr. Rathi, for joining in. And that really is the first question, because I'm looking at your acquisition note. You have paid about 1,160 odd crores in terms of cash, and another 268 crores on account of adjustments for inventory, working capital and VAT. So a net outflow of close to around 1,350 to 1,400 crores for a company that does almost 800 million euros in terms of revenue. So the obvious question is, what is the profitability of this company, And what's your scalability plan out here? What kind of synergies do you think you can realize?
First of all, thank you CNBC-18 for having Sudarshan on your channel. To talk about the big picture on our acquisition, Sudarshan had an ambitious growth strategy. We aim to become a world leader and the most value-adding pigment player globally and a preferred partner for our customers. As you mentioned, this acquisition provides us a great opportunity to kind of visualize our, to achieve our vision and become a value-adding player globally. 19 manufacturing sites in 11 countries across 4 continents. Plus, it gives us a very deep access into Europe and America's market, which are the largest markets. It also provides us the state-of-art technical expertise, and which our second technical expertise is, the technical center is going to be in Frankfurt, which gives us a great opportunity to grow. In terms of profitability, due to antitrust, not able to delve into the numbers, but we are very confident year one itself we would be able to achieve good positive numbers.
What are those positive numbers, sir? We're just trying to understand that. And secondly, how does this impact the listed Indian company, Huback Colorants?
So I think, as I mentioned, due to antitrust, not able to delve into numbers yet. We are just getting into the numbers. The second, the Huback Colorant comes as part of this deal and will be part of our business.
Merge the two at some point?
Sorry, come again?
Will you merge the two?
I think we're looking at all the legal aspects of what we can do, but I think we would want, but it'll be a very important part of our portfolio going forward.
Mr. Rathi, good afternoon. Thank you for joining in. So you're mentioning that a merger is on the cards, but you're still exploring legal options for the same. But you had also mentioned the last time you spoke to us that there might be some capital infusion that you may have to make in terms of working capital. How is that progressing? If you could quantify that number for us, sir.
So there are various aspects which cash infusion would be required. One is a small amount for the working capital. We have to make an open offer for Huback Colorants, and we may also require some cash infusion for some structuring, and our estimate was that this the cash infusion will be another 11 to 1200 crores.
With this acquisition, what is the kind of debt that comes onto your financial books? How much debt do you assume because of this acquisition?
So I think what we've done is this acquisition plus cash infusion is a combination. How we've raised funds is a combination of equity plus debt. And so that's where, that's how we are financing this whole acquisition.
No, that is about how you are financing this. So if you could give us a split on how much is the cash that you are using, how much is the debt you're raising. And secondly, by acquiring this company, which also had its own financial troubles, high interest costs, etc., I'm sure there was some debt on the books of this company already, which will come as a part of this acquisition as well. So we just want to understand that too.
Absolutely. So this acquisition is a debt-free acquisition. So no debt comes onto our books from Huback. And as I mentioned, I would say the total infusion is about, let's say about, including the acquisition price is about 2,500, and about half of it will come through debt and half of through the QIP process.
So what does that take the total overall debt number to for your Indian entity, Mr. Rathi?
So as I mentioned, we, on our books, we have a very small debt amount. The new Huback business is a debt-free acquisition. So the only debt would be, which I already mentioned to you.
We still don't get how much would be the incremental revenue that would be added, because, I'm looking at your own performance. Your Export business is close to around 315 crores per quarter. I'm looking at your quarterly run rate in terms of revenue is close to around 650, 666 if you look at the last quarter as well. This business that you've acquired has revenues of almost €1 billion. So how does that reflect in your overall consolidated entity? And, what are the margins that this business operates at?
So the overall business would be 1 billion plus. As I mentioned, due to antitrust regulations, we've not been able to deep dive into numbers. We're getting into the numbers, but directionally, I think the business would be in the teens of EBITDA margins. That's what we aspire to.
And by when does this start showing up on your accounts, Mr. Rathi?
I think it's too early to say that. We are getting into the numbers. We've just concluded the transaction and we'll be looking at the numbers in more details.
Right. And, currently, what is your revenue that comes in from the particular product that Heubach makes? And we're just trying to understand upselling or cross-selling synergies here over and above what the company does already.
There are great cross-selling synergies. Directionally, if you look at Europe and US are strong markets for Heubach, and the paints and digitaling markets are strong versus for Sudarshan, plastic market was strong. So there are great synergies going forward.
So currently, what proportion of your revenue comes in from Europe and US, and how does this acquisition add to that?
So we, as I mentioned, we're not able to delve into detailed numbers, but going for, we would have a great market share in these two as a combined entity now.
By when would you have clarity, sir, on on the numbers? By when can you tell all the viewers, the shareholders, these numbers in detail?
So there is a formal process where we will declare numbers as per the statutory requirements, and we would share numbers from that perspective.
Now, X of that acquisition, Mr. Rathi, what is your current exposure to US and Europe? If you could quantify that for us. You may not want to tell us the acquisition plus acquisition numbers, but X of that?
So I think from a perspective, as our guidance to the market, we've not been giving breakups due to competitive intelligence of the breakup of numbers. But I think Heubach's presence in Europe and Americas is much larger than us. And as a combined entity, I think we will bring in customer centricity and be the preferred choice for our customers in these markets too.
All right. X of this combined entity, which you can't speak of, or the standalone business, I mean, the business which is currently there, what kind of prognosis can you make in terms of FY25 and FY26 revenue growth and margins?
So directionally, like I mentioned, there are great opportunities which we've identified to win back business. Heubach had lost some business, and we see that we will be able to win back this business. And again, won't be able to delve into particular numbers.
No, we're talking about Sudarshan Chemicals, not Heubach right now. For Sudarshan Chemicals, what's the guidance that you have?
From a Sudarshan perspective, our guidance has been very clear. I think we did a large investment to transform our product portfolio into a specialty product portfolio, and that's been paying dividends. And as you can see, we've already recorded on YTD 18% growth, and that trend should continue.
All right, Mr. Rathi, thank you so much for sparing time and joining us today. We hope you join us once you are at liberty to discuss more numbers once the entire acquisition starts reflecting on your accounts as well. The management there of Sudarshan Chemicals. Take a short break. More on the markets on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The Nifty still holding on to 22,050, but a couple of stocks that are coming up on the radar. Paytm is one of them, 4.5% lower now at the lowest point of the day, now below levels of 700 as we speak. And the other one is Supreme Industries. That is continuing to see selling pressure right now after a downgrade that has come in from Prabhudas Leeladhar as well in today's trading session. So 4.5% lower there on Supreme Industries as well. But we call time on this edition of Midcap Radar. From Manglam, me and the team that put this show together, thank you so much for watching. MF Corner on the other side.